It is time for our very first off-season here in the Detroit Tigers rebuild franchise. Welcome back, everybody. We just finished off year one, got some good info on a couple of young players, and now we're going into our first stage of the off-season with exclusive free agent negotiations. We have about a week until we get to the actual free agency, but before this, let's just take a quick look at who is going to hit the open market if we don't bring them back right now. There's only a couple of players, at least for our team. And I don't want the goddamn tutorial, but it looks like we got Matthew Boyd, Cesar Hernandez, Jose Cisnero, Chasen Shreve, and Miggy, but he's going to retire almost assuredly in a couple of days here. And it looks like I think I'm still going to let Matthew Boyd walk because I still want to see what the options are out there, even though he had a great season. He is 33 years old, a 75 overall, C potential. A couple of things have gone up recently, but I still think it might be worth looking at a couple of free agents before we decide on bringing him back or not. And I don't care about bringing back anybody else on this list, so that's all for us. As for the coaching staff, we currently have a hitting coach, a pitching coach, and a farm director. And I think I'll keep the farm director around. Might want to change up the pitching coach, so I'm just going to go ahead and fire him. And I'm going to keep our hitting coach because I appreciate the contact and clutch. He's got an A attribute grade, so I'm down to keep him. Don't want to make too many changes there, but we have plenty of budget to work with. So who is even available? Well, for the manager position, you have a couple of guys, including AJ Hinch, but I think I want to go somewhere else. And just go somewhere else, essentially. I think I want to find somebody that can help us out with the hitting. So maybe something like some +3 contact. This guy at Mark Pryor can also help with K/9 and arm accuracy as well, which could be big. Plate discipline and contact and +2 speed. Okay. Doug Iden, a top candidate. TJ Stanford. Not bad. Alright, I'm going to throw out offers for Doug Iden, the manager position. I'll do just the basic 3-year offer because nobody else has offers up right now. And I'll make a few other offers for Mark Pryor as well. I think it's worth having a couple of different options out there. And then maybe AJ Stanford. You do lose a bit of control there, but you get more fielding, plate vision, and contact. I like Stanford. I'm down to offer him a deal as well. So for pitching coach, obviously trying to find guys that don't have any negatives, but there is Phil Guzman, who's got some control, pitching clutch, hit per 9, +2 across the board. Wilson Hafey, I'm just already going to offer him. He gives you walk per 9, hit per 9, pitching clutch, and stamina. There's also Fernando Malone. I think I'll do probably 3 offers per position. So that's 2 already out there right now. First base coach, looking for fielding, arm strength, maybe some blocking as well. Don't want to lose reaction time. There is Dan Lopez. I like him. Give him a couple of offers. We'll also give an offer to Chris Hook, speed, stealing, durability, arm accuracy. And then maybe Tony Beasley. The third base coach, pretty much the same pool of coaches that we just had. So I'll just scroll down and make some more offers to other guys that we have not already offered a job to, like Scott Frisch. And then Frederick Dobbins, stealing and reaction. Those will be all the offers we make for the coaches right now. We'll see what happens later on. But now it's time for us to sim ahead to the actual free agency. So TJ Stanford has taken the Padres' offer as hitting coach. So he's not going to be our coach. And Tony Beasley has accepted our offer as the first base coach. So he'll be with us for at least 3 more seasons. And the same goes for Scott Frisch at third base. He has taken the offer. I was cool with either guy coming. Now we got Wilson Hafey as our pitching coach for 3 years. Still don't have a manager. And it looks like Mark Pryor is going to pull out of the job. So let's stop here for a moment. They're last to tender a qualifying offer to our qualified free agents. But I I don't think I want to do that. Alright, it's time for us to find somebody new to make offers to for the manager spot, because nobody else that we had offered to is still available. So let's go back towards the top. Well, actually, Doug Iden is still here, but we are going to have to increase the offer to get him. He's being offered for the farm director for the Rangers right now, which he's more interested in, for a lot less money. So we're going to have to increase this by a little bit. Let's go up to like maybe few more million. And he took the Rangers offer as farm director. Are you kidding me, Doug? Come on, man. Now we gotta find somebody else. Is Mark Pryor really no longer interested? I'm gonna increase the offer. I'm gonna go with around 19 million, just like the last guy. See if he takes that one over the one for the Cardinals. And then I still want that +3 contact, so Ron Washington could be the guy. You get -1 fielding, -2 walk per 9. There is Johnny Stewart, but again, I want to focus on batting for the manager. I want to get some contact there, and this guy has contact and plate vision, so why not offer him? He's got no other offers right now, and he's got a kind of a championship pedigree at the very least, or a playoff pedigree, so we'll see if he takes the offer. And now we also got to select our 40-man roster by the 20th of November. Salary arbitration, contract tendering, which not entirely sure how this works, but it looks like a player under team control must be tendered a contract or offered a contract by December 2nd, or he will become a free agent. So I do have to offer to several players in the minors. Alright, so I've gone through this list and made offers to everybody that has a contract status. All the guys who don't have a status are guys I have not offered a contract to, so you can see the list right here. Which means that we should be bringing most of these players back. We'll have to find some replacements for mostly around the single A team, because that's where most of these bottom guys were, but we'll figure that out once we cross that bridge. And as for arbitration, a couple of guys are eligible for it, but honestly, I don't think I want to even get into this with pretty much any of these players, except maybe Jace Fry, but he's 30 years old and was mainly a minor leaguer last year, so I think instead I'll just let all 6 of these guys walk at this point. We have 10 days until the 40-man roster deadline, so all of these players right here on your screen are eligible for the Rule 5 draft, and there's obviously some guys that we need to protect, so let's find out who they are. So Jace Young is eligible for the Rule 5 draft, so we're going to add him to our 40-man. Same does not go for Kyle Busch, I believe. He's not eligible. Flores is not. I wish I could just see like a full list of who is eligible for it, because then I would just add all those players that I think are worth adding, but instead I have to parse through this. And also just based on that screen that we just had, it showed me a couple of players, but not all of them. So I don't know all the players that are available, but you will see. And by the way, here's Larry Ladd. First look at him on the roster, 60 overall, B potential. Has really good contact, so he should be getting on base. He should have a good average next season. I think Reese Olson was also eligible. Yes, he is. There's also Steele Walker, who's in AAA, that I have to make an offer to as well. But some of these guys were guys that I did not even offer contracts to, so go to AAA. I don't think Pedro is eligible. No, he's not. So we still have Zach Short on the 40-man. And he had a good year in AAA last year, but I'm going to remove him from the 40-man because he's got deep potential. He's probably not going to see any playing time up here, so we're going to remove him from the 40-man, and we're going to finish it off by adding Steele Walker. Now we have the actual free agent class, and Shohei Ohtani is a free agent. Right now, the only team offering him is the Angels, trying to bring him back on a massive 10-year deal worth $350. But there are some good players available, including Julio Urias, Aaron Nola, Clayton Kershaw, Renfroe, Josh Hader. There are some interesting guys here that we could potentially go after, like Matt Chapman, for example. Last year, he hit 240. And really has not had a good average in quite some time. But he does hit home runs over 20 a year for 3 years in a row. So Not a lot of contact, but there is some slugging there. In fact, a pretty good amount as well. And he could be a guy to go after. He's definitely a good fielder as well. So, potentially, we're not going to be going after any high-ticket player like Ohtani or anything because we just don't have the money to do that. But we have quite a bit of budget. We have $135 million available. So we're going to try and use that to the best of our ability. Maybe going after Aaron Nola, for example. He's got a 5-year, $100 million deal from the Phillies lined up right now. It's the only one that's been offered to him so far. And he's coming off a great season in Philly. They're trying to bring him back on the qualifying offer. But the issue is that for these first 4 players, if we do outbid those teams for these players and we end up signing them, then we do lose a draft pick. So we have to keep that in mind for the qualifying offers, which is just the first couple of players. Before we make any offers, though, what spots do we need to address on the roster? Well, I know that we probably should at least think about a first baseman to potentially play behind Torkelson, because I do want to play him at first base for the most part. I'm thinking about third base. I'm thinking about shortstop. I'm not really thinking about the outfield too much because I like who we have out there. We have like 4 to 5 guys that are going to get constant playing time out there. So I don't really want to address outfield that much, but we also brought back Jonathan Scope, who plays second, but he can play across the rest of the infield. I also want to look at catcher perhaps, and then also another starter, maybe a reliever. And I think those are the spots I want to focus on mostly to start. So looking at third base, short, and catcher, and maybe a couple of pitching. So I am thinking about Matt Chapman a lot because, let's see, I'm curious what he wants in a contract, but I think we could really use a guy like him to provide some pop, some power at the plate, maybe play a bit of cleanup for us. That would be nice. Because he could be kind of what you were looking for with Javi Baez with that power, but it's more of a guarantee with Chapman than it was with Baez. Because look at his production. He's had over 20 plus home runs each year, excluding 2020 because he only played 142 at-bats, and he still put up 10 home runs. So, like, he's going to give you guaranteed power, at least in general. So I'm at least curious to see what he wants. He wants a little bit less than $10 million per year. I think we can definitely afford this because we would still have a lot of money that we can dole around. So he would be a star player for us. I'm down for that. A player option increases the interest, which I'm totally cool with. He wants to have the role as a star. I think that makes sense as well. We'll increase it a little bit to increase the interest, but no other offers are made right now. So let's go with this as our first offer, which does get us just above the Blue Jays offer. Ooh, Ahmed Rosario. We bring in a former rival. He batted .253 last year with 15 home runs. Looks like he did not keep up the average from the previous 2 seasons, but .253 is still pretty solid. Definitely better than what Maton and Kryler were both batting. Slugging above 400 for 3 years running. That's good to see. Negative .3 WAR though last year because the Guardians were, I think, below 500 this past season. Okay, he could be a guy to go after. And he's got 3 quirks as well. He's very good at hitting pitches outside the strike zone. He's good at driving in a runner from third with less than 2 outs, and he's good at hitting the first pitch of an at-bat. And quirks are pretty important. He's got A potential. He's 28 years old, and he will be pretty much the full-time shortstop if we bring him in, because he has some really good contact against both righties and lefties, and good plate vision as well, which makes sense with his quirks, and some good batting clutch too. Definitely want to think about Ahmed Rosario and stealing him from the Guardians perhaps. We'll up the offer so it's a little bit more than what the Guardians wanted to give him. There is also Tyler Mahle, who's got some good stamina. He's got hit per 9, K per 9 around 70, walk per 9 home run per nine in the mid 60s, better than Matthew Boyd at the very least in terms of the ratings there. Coming off a 3.59 ERA season, went 15-8 in 33 starts. Had 22 quality starts out of 33 attempts. That's impressive. And he played for the Twins. So he's another guy within our division that we can potentially bring onto our team and take away from another. So maybe offer him, our 5th starting role, and we can keep the guys that we have as long relievers in long relief. Now, he wants $15 million a year, which is quite a bit. We are definitely giving out some big offers early on, but I think it's worth doing. Got to make some big moves if you want to win baseball games, don't you? And unfortunately, catcher might be the least interesting position for us to go after, because there are a lot of players that simply just are not worth even signing. Now, we do have a couple of young players down there. There is Alonzo Gold, who we consider drafting. He's got 40 overall, A potential. Could be a guy to put in single A ball as a really long shot prospect, but I think he would be worth bringing in if he wants a cheap contract, which he does. We offer him like $60K. Nobody else is offering that, so we can bring him in and put him in single A ball for probably a couple of seasons before he starts to show some promise. But really, there's not a lot to like here. Now, there is Tom Murphy, who last year in Seattle batted .275 in 222 at-bats. Probably was only batting against lefties. So if we do bring in him, I would probably want to focus on bringing in a good righty contact catcher as well, and just have those guys split time. He's 32 years old, no quirks, but I mean, he was good last year, and he was good before that in the playing time that he got, although on a small sample size. And he already hit 11 home runs in 222 at-bats. So I think I definitely am interested in bringing him in. And he wants $4 million a year, which a little bit more than I was expecting, to be honest. But I think we'll just roll with the $20 million over 5 and see if we can bring him in on that. Ooh, Kevin Plawecki is kind of interesting here. He pretty much played the full season in Pittsburgh this past year and batted just below .260. Only had 5 home runs, but he's not much of a power guy. But he does have 71 contact righty. He is 65 overall and 33 years old. But could be a decent platoon player. Definitely want to offer him. He wants less than $2 million a year. That's about what I would expect. We'll offer him that. And I think this might be all the offers I make to start us out. Maybe we'll look at relievers real quick. We've got these offers out right now for these current players. So $45.8 million in pending offers. And we'll see what happens if we want to add a couple more. I'm also kind of intrigued at maybe offering a contract to Jordan Hicks. Although, he's not going to have any of the wins or losses, really, besides the 4 right there. He played 70 innings last season. A 4.48 ERA, a 1.29 whip, which is pretty solid. Allowed 11 home runs. Had a .4 WAR, same as the year prior to that. But a really high K per 9. Walk per 9, way better than the previous season. Home run per 9 got doubled up, but he still has a really high home run per 9 at 78, which is good. The FIP is at 4.14, and I'm pretty sure that like a FIP of 4 is probably the baseline, so a bit above where I would like him to be. But honestly, I like the K per 9, and I would probably expect the home run per 9 to go back to what it usually is for him. I think he just maybe had a down year, which does happen often, and he can play in medium relief or long relief if we need him to. So I think that is an interesting offer to make, and would give us some more depth in the bullpen for sure, and just better quality there as well. So we're going to offer a 3-year deal to him, which is much better than a 1-year deal from the Cardinals. And we have brought in Ron Washington as the Tigers manager. He was the guy that had 3 contact and +3 plate vision. So he is now our manager, and we have wrapped up the coaching staff signings. And it's the Texas Rangers who signed Shohei Ohtani to an 8-year deal worth $280 million. That is a huge signing for him. Were there any other big signings? It's not going to show us all of them. It looks like Tyler Mahle signed his 5-year, $77 million contract with the Tigers, so that's going to be our 4th starting pitcher. And the Angels have just acquired Luis Castillo from Seattle in exchange for Brandon Drury and Reed Detmers. And this is going to be, I guess, their Shohei Ohtani replacement in terms of pitching. They do let Reed Detmers go, but Castillo is a much better veteran pitcher. So that's a really big trade that those two teams just made. It's the last day for arbitration, and I'm really thinking about bringing back Casey Mize. I think I want to. I enjoyed how he played to finish off the season. 8 quality starts and 13 games started. Went 7-8 in those 13, or in the season. But he brought his ERA down. His WHIP was brought down. Still want some better walk per 9, but overall, I think I want to at least, maybe see like one more season for him or something. Let's offer a contract. He wants a lot more than I'm willing to offer. So let's do 1 year. Let's lower it to what he wants. Less than $2 million now, which is good. So Mize didn't take the offer, and it looks like that, we just made it's showing all the moves that we had made. So no other offers that we had offered have been accepted yet. They're still out there on the block, I believe, unless we missed out on a couple of players. See that we're missing at least one offer that we had made. Oh, it's because Jordan Hicks took our offer and so did Rosario. So we now have Hicks and Rosario on the team. So let's go take a look. Here's Hicks, now one of our top rated relievers. Fantastic. And then Rosario is at short. He's right here. There he is. So for offers we made, we still have the top offer over the Blue Jays, but I think I want to offer a bit more than 49.2 to try and get this deal done. Let's just make it a solid 50.3. 5 years. Player option, yes. And hopefully that'll get that one done. And you know what? Now that we don't have Casey Mize on the roster, Severino is out here as well. Did we possibly bring him in? And if this is what it takes to get a deal done, like maybe, but the offers out there right now are pretty damn low. So if we can get it down to like around here maybe, what does it look like? It's by far the top offer. The Angels are offering a little bit over what we are per year. So let's go up to 69 or just about there for 5 years. Okay, just reset what the offer was. That's all right. We're not going to do a player option this time. Let's do $70 million, so it's above the Angels. Tom Murphy has accepted his 5-year offer. I just realized that he is 32 years old. So 5 years might have been way too much to offer him, but it's a pretty cheap contract. And we'll only play him against lefty pitchers. We can hopefully bring in Kevin Plawecki to be the other catcher. So we'll see what happens there. And the Giants did bring in Casey Mize on a 1-year deal, and the Pirates signed Matt Manning. So we definitely don't get those guys back. No other player has accepted offers that we've made so far. So let's see. We still have the Severino, Chapman, and Plawecki offers out there. And the Pittsburgh Pirates bring in Hunter Renfroe on a 3-year, $25.8 million deal. It's a big signing for them. And Matt Chapman has signed his 5-year deal with the Tigers with $50 million. We got one of our top signings. Okay. Austin Meadows heads to the Royals on a 1-year, $4.5 million contract. And no other updates for the Tigers yet. Also, right now, Nick Maton and Foley are both going to become free agents, and so is the rest of this list right here. So We're going to be losing quite a bit of players in the minors, but we'll try and find guys to replace them because some of these guys wanted some really big deals to be minor league players. Like $750K for a guy that's never going to see the majors. That sounds like way too much money for me to offer. Despite us having a lot of budget available, I think it's better for us to find cheaper players that have maybe higher potential and a higher overall down there. A few days later, Plawecki's still holding out for a better offer, and so is Severino, who now got one from the Cardinals. We're going to have to increase ours from $70 million. Let's put it up to like 75-ish. And I think now I will offer the player option because it'll increase interest here too and might get it done, hopefully. Josh Hader heads to the Red Sox on a 4-year, $52 million contract, and Severino has signed with Detroit on a 5-year, $75 million contract. Okay, so now we have the Rule 5 draft. We currently have 37 players on our 40-man roster, and we're going to see if we lose any players here, as Julio Urias will head to Seattle to pretty much be the Luis Castillo replacement after he was traded. So a couple of pitcher moves around the league. But we don't have to take a player here in the Rule 5 draft, but we do have the 6th pick. So if there's a guy available that I think deserves or could fit into our active roster, then that's the move we're going to make. But essentially how it works is that in this Rule 5 draft, you don't have to make a pick. And once you choose not to pick, or once there's a full round where nobody picks, then it's over. But if a team still keeps on picking, or a couple of teams still want to make picks round after round, then they can keep going as long as they want to, I believe. But again, whoever you draft will be on your active roster the entire season unless you decide that you no longer want them on your team, and then they are optioned back to the previous team they were on. So this player will not be in the minors at all for whoever you draft. So see how it goes. Looks like the first 2 teams made a couple of picks, and now we are on the clock because the next 3 teams skip theirs. So let's just see who's available. And there is some A potential players with some overalls. Not sure what this D means next to Alex Reyes, but he's got A potential, 70 overall, relief pitcher, really good hit per 9, K per 9, and home run per 9. Very low walk per 9, which is kind of scary, but velocity and break are very high. He's 29 years old, and when he's played in the majors in Seattle, he actually was pretty good at 29 saves, only 5 blown saves in 2021, 10 wins, 8 losses, 26 earned runs over 72.1 innings, and a 1.35 whip, a FIP over 4, really high K per 9, and walk per 9, which is, again, concerning. Interesting player. I can't see any stats for a potential player, Connor Hollis, but he can play a lot of different positions. Could be a really good utility player. And he's got some decent lefty and righty contact, not much power, but he's pretty much a jack of all trades and a master of none. And he is kind of fast. So maybe him. Ooh, you know what could be interesting? Matt Mervis, who actually just got called up in real life by the Cubs to play in the majors. But he's got better contact against lefties and righties and better power as well than Connor Hollis does. And, he can play only first and third. But if you bring him in, he's already a 67 overall. B potential, can already hit off of major league pitchers. And if you draft him, he could be some really good competition for Torkelson, who has not had a good first 2 years up with us in Detroit. So I think Matt Mervis is the call here, actually. I think he'll probably be the only pick I make, to be honest. We draft Matt Mervis as a first baseman to give some competition against Torque. And I think that'll be it for the Tigers. Alright, about a week later in game, we sim ahead. A lot of signings were made. And we do bring in Kevin Plawecki on that 4-year contract. Again, I should have offered less years on that, but whatever. That's my bad. But we do bring him in. We got the guys that I wanted. We didn't get outbid for any of those players, which is good to see. And here's what our roster currently looks like. Definitely are missing some relievers. We definitely need some more AA players. We do have to make some signings for the minor leagues. We might call up a couple of single A players real quick as well, because some guys I want to see their stats, like Julio Jimenez. I definitely want to see his stats. He's going to go into AA. Raul Lopez, same thing. I think the only guy that we drafted that we're going to keep in single A is probably going to be, what's his name? I don't even see him on here. Where is he? Is he in AAA or AA right now? Yeah, so we're also going to put up Thomas Marlin and Raul Pulido because I think it's important for us to see their stats. So I want to make sure that we can actually do that. And I'll keep the rest of the Class A roster as is. But I don't see our 7th round pick anywhere. And by the way, Julio Jimenez and Chris Ramos, the closers that we drafted with A potential, both guys are top 50 prospects, but you can tell by that red arrow icon. So those are 2 top 50 prospects that we drafted. Larry Ladd's not top 50, and I think Jackson Jobe should be, but is he anymore? I don't think so. Pedro Leon currently on the AAA roster. I think I'm going to add him to the active roster right now. Also, Justin Bruihl, who we did trade for during last year, we're going to start him. In fact, he actually got some playing time for us in the majors. It was actually pretty good in the 7 innings that he pitched in. So I don't know when he got that playing time. Must have been the last month of the season or something. But we're going to start him in AAA. I just checked in, and I did sign John Montez, who was our 7th round pick, to a contract. We did player search, and John Montez is a free agent. That's why he's not showing up. And he's 18 years old, but he does have some good contacts. So can I click on him? Can't. Here he is. I found him. All right, Montez. He's going to be getting a lot less money than he wanted during the contract offering process. But we're going to offer him, I can't do better than a 1-year deal. So 1-year deal for him. The Pirates have acquired pitcher Freddie Peralta from the Brewers in exchange for Brian Reynolds and Jared Jones, who is a prospect pitcher. Another big trade. And we did sign John Montez to that $60,000 contract, so we have him finally on the team. We're going to send Reese Olson, who was a AA All-Star pitcher last year, to AAA. We also have no center fielders in AAA right now, so we're going to send up Eric De La Rosa to AAA to start the season. There's also no shortstops out there, so I think I'll send up Luis Garcia and give Marlin more playing time at short, perhaps. And by the way, John Montez can play second and left field after first base. Marlin can play shortstop, second and third. Pulido can play second and third. And let's see here. Larry Ladd can play second and first. So that's good to know. Lopez can play second and third as well. Maybe you send Colt Keith up as well, because that way it opens the floor for Lopez and the other baseman to get more playing time down here, which I think that makes sense. So we'll send Colt Keith up as well at a AAA. And we can make a couple more signings to bring in guys for both AAA, AA, and single A. I think that's probably the best move going forward. So we're going to look for probably some shortstops and some closers, I think. All right, I have made the following moves, signing Johan Mieses to the team. Also Russell Lowe, Henry Sanchez, Willie McIver, Drew Mount, Will Banfield, and more. All those guys will be going into the minor league system. All right, so we currently have 23 players on the active major roster, 26 out of 26 in both AAA and AA, and then 8 down in a single A ball. So I think I'm going to be signing probably 5 more players to add to the active roster to fill out some, potential backup holes that we might have. And then I'll probably sign a few more players to round out the total organization for single A players, because why not have a full org if you can? Gives you more options. Okay, a few more signings that we have made. I brought in second baseman Seijo Hinoyosa on a 1-year cheap deal. He's going to provide some depth for us at second base. We also bring in former Tiger from back in 2018 for a couple of years, Jose Iglesias, who's now 34 years old, but a 1-year, less than $3 million deal. He will return to Detroit. We also brought in Chad Kuhl, and he's going to be a reliever for us, not a starter. And I also brought in Brad Hand to be one of our relievers as well. I wanted to get guys that had a bit more stamina than the guys we currently have, so that's what I did. And maybe our final signing for the active roster is going to be Yasmani Grandal on a 2-year deal to be a catcher that we can also look to provide some hitting. So we have him, we've got Plawecki, and we also have Tom Murphy. So really a lot to work with here at catcher. They're all old guys, but I think we can figure out how to utilize them pretty well here. So the active roster is now full, and I think I like where we're at. I think I addressed the spots that I really wanted to, that we needed some depth in. So I think the last couple of signings we'll make will be for single A, just to round out the organization. Got to sign 5 more players to be down there. And it looks like we might be able to utilize what kind of players? Looks like we are missing a first baseman, third baseman, left field, and closer. So those 4 spots we can look to. Also, Miggy legit did not retire, I guess. I thought he would have. He's 40 years old. How much money does he want? I mean, we can afford this and have him playing in single A to finish out his career. I mean, I guess, why not? Alright, last couple of moves were to bring in Justin Lewis, Austin Hansen, Steven Mendoza, and Yariel Gonzalez to play in single A. I also signed Miguel Cabrera to a 2-year deal, but I'm trying to clear him through waivers to make sure he's not on the 40-man roster, because there are a few other players that I would rather have on there than him, and he's going to be in single A ball anyways until he retires. And the St. Louis Cardinals bring in Aaron Nola on a 6-year deal. He waited a long time for offers, and he finally got one he liked. $126 million for him. A big signing. The Cardinals also just signed Blake Snell as well, a 5-year, $52 million contract. 2 big pitching signings they just made. And we have reached the arbitration hearings. But we don't have anything to really do here because we didn't give anybody any chance at arbitration. So there are some free agents still there, but we have pretty much a full organization at this point, as you can see right here. Apparently we don't have enough relievers that we are required to have. Hopefully it's not a concern, because we do have some starters that are going to be playing in those kinds of roles. Same with a closer or 2 of ours. And the offseason is now officially over. Spring training is about to begin. So, here's who we have on the roster. So, right now, we got 40 people on the active roster for the spring training roster. We can obviously make changes as we see fit, but the org is full at 93 players, so now we can just move players around as we see fit. But our starting 5 pitchers are going to be Tarek Skubal, Luis Severino, Tyler Mahle, Spencer Turnbull, and Eduardo Rodriguez. Let's just go look and see who's going to be on this roster in general. So we have the starting 5 that we talked over. Also Matt Chapman now will be our permanent third baseman. Alex Slang will probably be a reliever for us. We've got Ahmed Rosario at shortstop. We've got Trevor Rosenthal, Turnbull, Jonathan Scope to play second for the most part. Jordan Hicks, Erod, Tom Murphy, Jose Iglesias, Joey Wentz. We'll just bring him back up. Who cares? Kerry Carpenter, Matt Whistler, Yasmani Grandal, Pedro Leon, Akil Baddoo, Riley Green, Matt Vierling, Bo Brisky, Brad Hand, Jace Young, who is obviously on the 40-man roster. We'll see what he can do. He's one of our top prospects. Matt Mervis, who we just signed to give some competition to Spencer Torkelson. Alex Fado, who is a AAA starter. Navigado's going to be here. Torque, obviously. Rony Garcia. Justin Henry Malloy. Parker Meadows. Kevin Plowecki. Will Vest. Steele Walker. Garrett Hill. Dylan Dingler. Justin Brule, who we traded for last season. Bryant Packard. Reese Olson. And Wenzel Perez. Those are the guys that are going to be in spring training this season. But who are some of the players who aren't there? Well, here is the AAA roster for spring training. You have these couple of players, but who do we know here that we've focused on a little bit? There's Colt Keith, who we've seen before. Donnie Sands, John Valente, Drew Mount, who is a new signing. Luis Garcia. Nobody really of big note here, but there is Jackson Jobe and Kai Bush will start the year in AA, as will Wilmer Flores and Ty Madden, the top couple of prospects there, the future prospects in terms of pitching. We also have Johan Mieses there, who we signed, Kervin Castro. Then we've got Julio Jimenez, Raul Lopez, Brennan Hanafy, Jake Holton, Andy Ibanez, Larry Lads down here, Chris Ramos. Yeah, John Montez as well. So, Thomas Marlin, Polito, pretty much all the guys that are position players who we drafted are going to be in AA altogether. In single A, you've got CJ Hinojosa, might move him up to AA at some point because he does have a pretty high overall, but Chad Kuhl is supposed to be on the Major League roster, I think, or at least on the 40-man. Gonna have to fill a spot or find a spot for him up there. But the rest of these guys are supposed to be down here. So 4 relievers, I think out of all these guys, Garrett Hill is probably the one who shouldn't be on the Major League roster. So we're going to remove him from this. He's going to have to clear through waivers for a day or two. Take a second. Alright, so we just added Chad Kuhl to the 40-man roster. Now he's at the Major Leagues. So there is your overview for the team. I'll adjust the rotations real quick so you can really get a good look at who we're looking at. It's got a couple of guys in here, I think, specifically for spring training purposes. Severino apparently in relief. Not sure why that is. I'm just going to put him in as the ace. We'll have Schoolball be the second guy. Erod be the third. Turnbull 4. And then in place of Fado, we'll have Tyler Molly, obviously. And the rest of the guys are pretty much filling out the rest of the bullpen up here. And I don't want Cool. I guess Whistler's currently the closer. We'll see how he does. Yeah, we'll just do this for now, and we'll adjust the rotation as we go through spring training. My plan for spring training is to essentially go through a lot of different games. I'll be doing almost exclusively player lock to get through them quicker, but I will try my best to do like probably 7 to 10 players to focus on, including pitchers. And I'll just throw in a huge video encompassing all the spring training highlights, and I'll go over some stats as well. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to focus on. Alright, so I had the CPU auto-fix all of our lineups because there are obviously some empty spots here. So, it does have Matt Chapman being a bench player against righties. He isn't here against lefties, so I guess that's just to give more guys more playing time in spring training. I'm not entirely sure if these lineups even really matter in spring training, but I guess we'll see what happens. But it really just matters for the right-handed pitchers for DH and for lefty DH. Those are the ones that matter. So right now, we got Akil Baddoo, Riley Green, Rosario, Kerry Carpenter, Scope, Vierling, Torque, Tom Murphy, and Pedro Leon. Not sure why it has Murphy in here against right. Oh, no, it does have him against righties, which is not correct. That needs to be either Plowecki or Grandal. Let's do Plowecki and see what he can do. Even though Grandal... let's do Grandal. Screw it. We'll put him in there. And then for lefties, you've got Jose Iglesias, Riley Green, Rosario, Matt Chapman in there now, Matt Vierling, Scope, Tom Murphy against lefties here, which is good. And Kerry Carpenter and Torkelson. So I think I'm cool leaving it as it is just to go through spring training. Obviously, I have a good idea of what I want to do with the lineups once we reach the regular season, but this is for spring training, and I think we have everything all set up. We are on the day to start, so we have a month of spring training coming up, and I'll get a huge highlight video pulled together these next couple of days, and we will go from here. So once again, can I even go over? Here is pretty much what the roster looks like in terms of our depth chart. You can see all the players on here, but big signings we had with bringing in Ahmed Rosario, Matt Chapman, Luis Severino, Tyler Mahle, Jordan Hicks. Made a lot of big moves. I think it'll pay off. We got Matt Mervis to give some competition for Torkelson. We still have young players in Riley Green, Parker Meadows, Pedro Leon. Torque and Mervis both fit that bill as well. So there definitely is some stuff going on here that could be interesting for us going forward. I think we put ourselves in a good spot to actually win some more games this season too. And I'm excited to see where this team can go, but spring training comes first. So we'll come across that next time out, guys. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys next time. Like, subscribe, comment down below, and spring training comes next episode. Peace.